got to think there's at least a chance for the Cardinals to get themselves, to 4 runs here tonight in this game. All right, next up, we've got the Padres taking on the Phillies. Randy Vasquez and Christopher Sanchez, the matchup here. It is Philadelphia, about minus 185, home favorites, 9.5 the total here in this one. Christopher Sanchez has been, for the most part, really good for the Philadelphia Phillies this season. The lefty coming off a bit of a rougher outing against Boston, but Citizens Bank, he's been brilliant this season. That home ERA, 1.95 for Christopher Sanchez here in Philadelphia this season. Last start in Philly was a 1-run gem in 6 innings against a very good Milwaukee Brewers team. And then the home start before that against Washington, pitched 7 strong, only gave up 2 runs in that start. So very solid performance there as well from Christopher Sanchez. Look at this Padres team against lefties. They're just hitting 225 for the season. A little bit better in the shorter term against lefties, but Sanchez has been a tough one to beat here, especially at home, and he's pitched well. Meanwhile, you have Randy Vasquez here on the mound for the Padres. Starting to get better after a rough beginning to his stint here in the rotation. We've definitely seen him pitch better here in June. He went 5 innings, gave up just 3 runs against Kansas City, 6.2 innings, 3 runs against Arizona, and then just 1 run allowed in his last start, 5 innings against Oakland. So he's actually pitched progressively better, going into this game tonight. I'd actually probably lean under, believe it or not. I know the Padres were in a high-scoring affair, losing 11-6 to the Mets in the finale yesterday against the Mets at Citi Field. Again, a tough series for them. They got swept. Philadelphia is coming off an 8-3 loss to Baltimore, but Randy Vasquez has pitched decently, solid. He hasn't given up more than 3 runs in 4 straight starts. And, of course, Philadelphia, I mentioned it with Christopher Sanchez. He's been almost lights out here at home. So 9.5, maybe this one can stay under, maybe a first 5 under if you're worried about the bullpens. And we always know that could be a bit of a concern. You might get those late runs in some of these games where you think the starters will pitch well. All right, next up, it is the Reds and the Pirates. We've got Carson Spears and Paul Skeens, the pitching matchup. Obviously, Skeens has been amazing, and now you're starting to pay a tax to back him, or back Pittsburgh with him on the mound. Minus 170 to minus 180 is what we're looking at here for the Pirates, 8.5 the total. But I ain't stepping in front of Paul Skeens. You can if you want. I'm not going to do it. He's been tremendous, 4-1 for the Pittsburgh Pirates in his last 5 starts. So they've been winning with Paul Skeens on the mound. Very decorated pitcher coming out of college, and he has definitely pitched like it here for the Pirates so far. Shutout over the Cardinals in 6.1 innings in his last start. Hasn't given up more than 3 runs in any outing. Definitely should be able to pitch fairly well here. I can't say I'm enamored with Spears for Cincinnati. Fringe arm at the major league level. That's what he looks like to me. He made 2 starts last September for this team, 7 runs, 10 hits in just 7 innings. Those numbers aren't great. So clear advantage here for Pittsburgh. I ended up going first 5 full game run line here for Pittsburgh. You can get the first 5 run line minus 132, full game minus 1 run line minus 125. So I think the Pirates get the job done here. Skeens on the mound. It's been pretty much go-to mechanical bet for me to take the Pirates when he's been on the mound for them. And I'm going back to that here tonight. All right, next up, it is the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Red Sox and Yusei Kikuchi for Toronto. Blue Jays about a minus 120 home favorite here in this game. Total right now sitting at pretty much around looks like 7.5. Actually, was 8. It's gone down to 7.5 here in this game. I could see it being lower scoring. Nick Pivetta, pitching in Toronto, his home country. He's had some good starts in the past against Toronto, at least a few. We'll see if he can keep that going here. He did not pitch great the last time we saw him. 4 runs, 6 hits, 4 innings against Philadelphia in his last start. So he'll be looking to bounce back here against the Blue Jays. We'll see if he's able to do that. Again, he doesn't have bad numbers in his career against the Blue Jays. We'll see if he can pitch well against them tonight. Yusei Kikuchi has definitely pitched better the last couple starts. Went through a bit of a rough patch there, but last 2 starts in the month of June, and these are 2 good teams he faced too, Baltimore and Milwaukee. Back-to-back starts. Kikuchi gave up just 1 run, 7 hits, and 11 innings. So he's definitely turned his game around and pitched a lot better here the last two starts. I think the Blue Jays are favored here for a reason. They are starting to play a little bit better. That was a nice series win for them over the weekend against a very good Cleveland Guardians team. They needed it. Boston's traveling after playing Sunday night baseball at home against the Yankees last night, and now you're playing without a day off. That's usually a bet against spot. So I can make a case for the Blue Jays here. Maybe a first 5 full game split with this money line here. You can get around minus 125 or so with both the Blue Jays first 5 full game. I think it makes sense to look in the Jays direction. They're starting to play a little bit better. I know Boston's playing, some of their better baseball here the last week or two as well. But I think definitely the scheduling dynamics work in Toronto's favor tonight. They stay home. Boston's traveling after Sunday night baseball last night. So Kikuchi's in better form now the last few starts. So, yeah, Toronto, I would look in their direction here in this one tonight. Maybe a lean to the first 5 under as well. Could be one of those games too. I noticed this with the teams that played Sunday night, have to travel, play the next day. A lot of unders. The bats are asleep. They're not as patient. They're a little hungover, a little worn down, a little physically drained. And from that standpoint, you just don't see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand as well. And you don't really have those quality ABs to the level that you normally would when you're focused. So maybe the first 5 under here as far as this game goes as well. All right, we move along. Detroit and Atlanta next up. Reese Olson for the Tigers and Max Fried, the lefty, for the Braves. Atlanta minus 200 to minus 220, anywhere in that range. The total sitting at 8 here in this game. I like Reese Olson, but he's just hit the shits, unfortunately, the last few starts. I mean, it has been a tough go here for Reese Olson in June. I mean, he was pitching pretty well in April and most of May, but boy, the calendar hit to June and ran into a wall basically ever since then. 3 June starts for Reese Olson for Detroit. 5 runs, 6 hits, 5.1 innings allowed to Boston. 8 runs, 12 hits, 4 innings against Milwaukee. He got absolutely pounded in that game. And the last start wasn't very good either. 5 runs, 10 hits, 5.1 innings against the Washington Nationals. So, what the hell's happened here to Reese Olson? I like the kid a lot, but I can't back him right now in his current form. We need to see signs of him getting it back on track before I'm ready to do that. We'll see if the Atlanta Braves can make him pay a little bit here in this game. I think the one thing about Atlanta is their offense has been very much erratic, up and down, inconsistent, definitely underwhelming compared to what we expected coming into the season. But now the weather's warming up. We're into mid-June, and even with Ronald Acuna gone for the season, we're starting to see the Braves get it going at the plate. 6, 7, 9, 6 for the Braves in their last 4 games as far as runs scored. So definitely seeing a little bit of an uptick right now for this Braves lineup, starting to get their game going, starting to get their bats clicking a little bit. Maybe a Braves team total here, over 4.5 if you think Reese Olson's struggles are going to continue, and maybe a full game over. I mean, I actually grabbed I swiped the full game over 7.5 at minus 125 in this game. Most books have 8, but if you shop around, you'll be able to actually see there's a couple books that do have 7.5 with this total. I think it's too low given the fact the Braves are starting to hit. Olson's been in bad form here in the month of June. Now, Fried is the key, right? Fried has pitched pretty well most of the season, and certainly of late he's been solid. Tigers, though, against lefties, not bad. And in the last 10 games, their numbers against lefties have actually been better. 246 and averaging 6 runs per game against lefties for the Tigers. So maybe the Tigers can contribute a little bit here, and I think Atlanta can, do some damage offensively. So the over to me, 7.5, 8. I think that over is in play here as far as this game goes. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got, let me just see where we're at. Okay, here we go. San Francisco Giants and the Chicago Cubs. We've got Jordan Hicks and Javier Assad, the pitching matchup here. Cubs minus 110 to minus 115. Home favorites. 9.5 was the total, moved up to 10, and I'm even seeing a few 10.5s now, which tells me the wind's probably blowing out at Wrigley tonight when you see a move like that. Cubs have been an under machine, but may not be the right time to bet an under tonight. And one thing I can say about the San Francisco Giants is, I've been betting their games over the total recently. They've started to get their bats firing a bit. What an onslaught yesterday, 13-6 over the Angels. And they've certainly been able to do a good job hitting of late. We'll see how Jordan Hicks fares in this game. The one thing that would concern you about Jordan Hicks is home runs at times have been an issue for him, and if the wind's blowing out, that could be a little bit of a detriment. Even Assad has given up 6 home runs in his last 5 starts. Not what you want to see, and he hasn't nearly pitched as well the last few that he's been on the mound. Although I should point out, it was going to be hard for him not to regress at least a little bit, after what we saw in the first few starts of the season. So when I look at this game, I think the total is high for a reason. Not my favorite over, but I did grab a little piece of it, over 9 and over 10 actually when I got on it. 10.5 is what you see right now. I think it has a chance to get up and over that number. All right, Mets and Rangers. We've got David Peterson, the lefty, for the Mets. John Gray for Texas. Texas minus 135 home favorites, 8 the total in this game. How about the Mets? All of a sudden, they're starting to heat up, play good ball. They swept the Padres 8-2 in their last 10 games. Never say never, I guess, as far as the playoffs. We still have, over half the season left. And Mets are playing some of their best baseball right now. So not a team I'm really rushing to bet against. Certainly not a team I'm rushing to lay a price against right now. And the funny thing is now with the Mets surge, they're actually a half a game better than the Rangers right now. In Texas, 5 games below 500. They just got swept over the weekend. The Bats were limp against Seattle on the road. Now they're coming back home trying to right the ship. We'll see how this goes. This is one of those games where I felt like I would be on the Mets because they're red hot. Texas is slumping a little bit. The offense is struggling. And yet Texas opened a favorite, and the money's come in on Texas. And I'm a little leery of taking the Mets. But I could only look at the Mets at this price. I don't want to lay a price with Texas here. Although I will say John Gray has been really solid, really consistent. Nothing but 0, 1, or 2 as far as runs allowed for him in each of his last 5 starts. I'm not sure I want to go against that and his form right now. So it's a lean to the Mets, but it's a lean only. I'm not going to end up moving on it. All right, we got a couple games left. Next up, it is the Dodgers and the Rockies. James Paxton for the Dodgers, Cal Quantrill for the Rockies. We've got the Dodgers minus 160 road favorites, 12 the total in this game. I think a live home dog potential here. I don't think James Paxton and his style plays well to Coors Field. I just don't. I don't trust him in this kind of a ballpark. He can give up hard hit contact. Home runs can still be a problem for him. And if ever that's going to show up, it's going to be here at Coors Field. And it is worth noting this Rockies team is absolutely smashing lefties all of a sudden. Last 10 games, 8 runs per game, 319 collective team batting average for the Rockies against lefties. I don't think this is going to be an easy night for James Paxton. I could see him getting hit around a little bit. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, you flip it around and you go to Cal Quantrill after a brutal start to the season. Look at what he has done all of a sudden the last few for the Rockies. Back-to-back starts, not allowing a run. 11-inning shutout streak against the Cardinals and the Twins. Pitched pretty well in those games. His last start here at Coors Field, 2 runs, 6 innings against a very solid, very good Phillies lineup. So you got to give Cal Quantrill a lot of credit. His good form's a lot better. His home numbers are solid, 3.72. His last 3, he's got a 2.35 ERA. His last 3 starts. I think the Rockies are live here. I think at this price, it's just a little bit high on the Dodgers at this point. A team that 6-4 in their last 10 games, 44-29. Rockies have been absolutely pathetic on the road, but at least you get them at home here, and certainly I prefer the form of Quantrill right now to Paxton. So, yeah, I think Colorado at the plus money here. First 5, full game split, just in case you get the bullpen having some issues. I think that would be the direction I would go. I would go with the lean over as well. Quantrill's form's been good. That would be the concern. Maybe Rockies team total's a better thing to go with, but I think the Dodgers could still do damage. And don't forget the Rockies pen's not exactly a shutdown unit. So I think it could still get up and over the total. I could see this being like a 7-5, Rockies win, 8-4, Rockies win, something like that. And it gets up and over the 12 is the total now. It was 11.5 when I bet it, but 12 I would still lean over. But for me, even more than that, I like the Rockies here, first 5 full game split. All right, last game, Milwaukee Brewers, LA Angels. We've got Carlos Rodriguez for the Brewers on the mound, Jose Soriano for the LA Angels. It is the Angels. Well, they were slightly favored. We've seen some money come in on Milwaukee. Now Milwaukee slightly favored on the road in some spots, 8.5 the total. Yeah, I like Milwaukee here. Just give me the Brewers full game. I think this is unbelievably short and unbelievably cheap price for the much better baseball team. We know that. Soriano has been solid. I get it. But you look at Soriano at home, it's not been nearly as good for him. There is some home road split in his performance this season for the Angels. 2.33 ERA on the road, 5.54 ERA here at Angel Stadium. So he has pitched noticeably worse here at home this season. Carlos Rodriguez is definitely not going to pitch deep into the game. He's a very raw project right now as a pitcher for the Brewers, and we saw in his start against Toronto 6 days ago, he definitely labored. 2 runs, 7 hits, 3.2 innings. He was constantly in trouble. But still, you got a pretty good bullpen behind him, and you've certainly still got a much better Milwaukee bullpen than what you get from the Angels as far as bullpen pitching is concerned. Look at the overall difference. Brewers bullpen, 3.48 ERA this season. The Angels bullpen, 6.09. I mean, we're talking about 2.5 runs better with the Brewers bullpen ERA compared to the Angels. So I'm just going Milwaukee here. Full game, -110, -115. I think this over might be in play as well. 8.5. I don't think Rodriguez is going to keep a clean sheet. I know I've got soccer on in the background, so steal a soccer term. I don't know if Carlos Rodriguez is going to keep a clean sheet here against the Angels, but we know the Brewers and their offense should be able to do some damage. Soriano has struggled at home. Bad Angels bullpen behind him. So I think over 8.5. And you look at this Angels team as well. The San Francisco series played to some overs, and that actually, if you go back even further, LA Angels are on a under the radar little 6-1 over streak in their last 7 games entering tonight. So over 8.5 for me as well when it comes to the Brewers and the Angels. I don't think we're going to have C-Mac joining us today, but that's okay. Like I say, it's one of those deals where C-Mac will be with me most of the time, but I told him if there's ever a day he can't make it, don't worry about it. And that seems to be the case today. All right. Before we wrap up the show, we get into a best bet for you. NBA Finals, Game 5. Is this the final NBA game of the season? We're about to find out later tonight. Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics. Celtics 6.5 point home favorites, 210.5 the total in this game. So I'm going to do something a little weird here with this game. I'm going to do Boston first half, Dallas full game. It's a weird approach. I understand that, but I think it makes a lot of sense. You can get Boston -3.5, -115 first half at Circa. A couple other books have 3.5. Some others have 4. So make sure you shop around for that Celtics first half number. I think they'll come out storming after getting absolutely embarrassed in Game 4. I think it was not so much that Dallas embarrassed them. I think Boston embarrassed themselves. I don't think they even showed up. I think they just figured, you know what, let's go home and win the championship in Game 5. I think that was kind of like the mentality they took in that game, the way they played. But in the first half, -3.5, -4 with Boston. I don't mind that. But I actually think this game's, though, after a rough start, I could see Dallas chipping away, Boston falling asleep, and Dallas making it interesting again down the stretch because they can't quit. They can't. This is win or go home. Win or your season is over. Win or the series is over for the Dallas Mavericks. So I've got kind of a game flow and a game script in my mind for this game that it's going to be a hot start for Boston, but that Dallas is going to punch back after halftime. Let's say Boston's up by 8 or 10 at halftime, and you're getting, 6.5, 7 with Dallas full game. I think they could come back, make this a tight game down the stretch, and lose by 3 or 4, and they cover the full game number. That's kind of the way I feel this game's going to go. Boston will start strong. I really think so, but Dallas is going to, they can't give up, and they will punch back. And how many times have we seen just absolute lapses from the Boston Celtics, when they have a comfortable lead and they all of a sudden let the other team back in it? Remember when they were up by 21 in game 3 in Dallas in the fourth quarter, and Dallas got that damn thing down to 3 points, 3-point deficit from 21. And Boston had to hang on for dear life at the end. That's what Boston does. They have these, for as great as they are, and they've certainly got more offensive shot makers right now than Dallas. They have certainly shown that in this series, but they are not immune to just falling asleep, and they have done this many times throughout the playoffs. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen. It's Boston will start strong. They'll be ready to. They'll be focused coming off the blowout. They get a 8, 10, maybe 12, 14-point lead at halftime, cover the first half number, laying 3.5 or 4. And then Dallas comes back and punches back and is not going to give up because their season's over if they lose. And I think as this game goes on, you're going to see the Dallas Mavericks get themselves back in it and make it interesting down the stretch. So that's the way I see it going here tonight with Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So that's definitely what we're going to be looking at is Boston first half, Dallas full game. There we go. Sorry about that. Connection just got a little. There we go. Connection just got a little halted there, but I think we're back now. But yeah, I think that's a lot. For me, that's a solid approach because you would think after a loss like that, Boston will be, come out firing right from the opening tip, of that game. But I also think Dallas is going to, they do have Kyrie and Luka, and these are veteran players, and they are not going to. I don't think they're going to let their season go quietly into the night. Now, we know they are the better team. There's no doubt. We know that this is a better team here with this Boston team. There's no question. But I think when you look at it, Dallas will not go away quietly tonight, and I think you'll see that. So that's what my approach here in this game. It's going to be take the Celtics first half, take Dallas full game. And then as far as props go tonight, I think Derek Lively over rebounds is pretty good. Luka and or Kyrie over points. Now, I know Luka has been under his points prop in a lot of games in this. Every game, I think, stayed under. But this feels like an empty the tank night for Luka. And keep in mind, he gets the extra day because they played Friday, and now they're playing Monday. So that's going to help as far as the lingering injury that he keeps playing through. I could see him getting over 32.5. Kyrie's got to have a big night. Now, Kyrie is a little bit more of a tricky one to trust because, Kyrie has not played well in Boston in this series. We know that. He didn't play well in Game 1 and Game 2 in Boston, but I think he's got to have it here in this one. And we'll see if he's able to have a better game and, make some better shots here in this matchup against the Boston Celtics. Again, he did not play well in Game 1 and in Game 2 at home, but we will see if he is able to right the ship, if you will, here in this game against the Boston Celtics, his old team. Like I said, that's the approach for me. It's going to be mostly Celtics first half, Dallas full game. I think I'm at the point now where I'm just not betting the totals anymore in this series. I mean, the pace numbers, some of the numbers that I look at point to eventually one of these games has to go over the total, and yet they all seem to be staying under. And I feel like I'm done pounding my head against the wall expecting an over in this series. Maybe tonight's the night, and I'm not betting under either. At the total, I don't have a real strong opinion on. Either way, I'd lean over, but like I said, I've been bitten a couple of times. More so, I like Boston first half, Dallas full game. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone. There's Steven Stucci in the chat. Way to go. Good to see him, an old friend. Subhuman Gaucho, good to see you. Everyone in the chat, hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel all summer. We're going to have this show. We're going to have Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy every week previewing the CFL slate. We're going to start having NFL and college football division and conference preview videos. Can't wait to start doing those. That's right. NFL division by division, college football, conference by conference. We are going to have division and conference previews. Division previews for NFL, conference previews for college football. Of course, it's a new look college football landscape this year where we have the Power 4. Pac-12 is gone. It's Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC this year, plus, of course, the group of 5, which is still there. So, like I said, we're looking forward to that. So, again, that's coming up. NFL and college football division and conference preview videos. We'll do those throughout the months of June, July, and August right here on this channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. And again, we've got my Dub Club subscription. I can't say this enough. 350 people are subscribed right now to Dub Club. It's some of the most affordable handicapping sports betting subscription service you'll see. For the amount you get, you talk about getting bang for your buck. Multiple profitable seasons across multiple sports, consistency, long-term profits. You get high volume card every day because that's the style of betting that I employ, and it works for me. And again, $75 a month for 1 month all sports, $200 for 3 months all sports, $400 for 6 months, 1 year, which you could sign up today for 1 year all sports. It would run you from now until June 17th, 2025, and it would be just $750, which gives you the entire football season coming up, a full NHL season, a full NBA season, college basketball, the rest of MLB. We sprinkle in some UFC as well, mostly for the pay-per-views. You truly do get a lot with the subscription as far as volume. And again, long-term profits, the results have been solid. And again, you get sides, you get totals, you get player props. I am as heavy into player props as I've ever been, across multiple sports. So all of that is available. dubclub.win/r/Bobano. It's worth it. It's worth it. There's 350 subscribers with me right now. And many of them have been with me for years, going back to when I was with sportsmemo.com, which was 12 years ago, in 2012 when I started there. So I have incredible loyal members, subscribers, people that are with me through the winning times, the losing times, the good, the bad, the ups and the downs. And the reason they stay with me is because I don't jack up the prices. I have never raised subscription fees in years, and the long-term results are solid. So again, dubclub.win/r/Bobano. I'm serious. You talk about inflation this and inflation that and cost of living going through the roof. And yet I have kept 1 month all sports subscription at $75 for 6 years. I have not increased my rates ever during that time. And it's because, I'm trying to make this one of these deals where people can subscribe, profit, and not get crushed by service fees. Be able to handle that, and not just be able to profit and not get crushed by service fees, but also, you also have money, and you've got your ability to pay for stuff for your family and the day-to-day stuff, that your bills and all that. You don't need to be paying $250 or $500 a month for an all sports subscription. You do not need to be paying that much. And I see it too often with other websites charging $500 all sports. It's shocking to me that there are people that are charging $500 for 1 month of all sports service, $500, and giving you probably a quarter the number of plays, the volume, the types of bets that I do. And I just shake my head, but I feel I do it the right way. We have recaps every single day on the website, good, bad, or indifferent. Every single day we recap the previous day's results, plus units, how much, the dollar amount, plus or minus how much, and daily record keeping, record tracking, right on the website there at Dub Club. And you see it every day. You'll see the sports I'm up. You'll see the sports I'm down. And it's always updated every day throughout the course of the year. And again, all sports, it's worth it. Trust me. 350 people think it's worth it. So that's got to count for something. So again, make sure you sign up, dubclub.win/r/Bobano for that. All right, let's get into best bets. Best bet for this Monday show. Let's go to MLB. It's a tough decision because there's a few that I've got rattling around. I'm going to go with the Colorado Rockies. I legitimately think they are a very, very live home underdog tonight. I don't think Paxton is cut out to pitch well at Coors Field. Fly ball pitcher, can give up the home run ball. It's a little bit of a tricky spot for the Dodgers. Cal Quantrill's in very, very good form. So I think the Rockies have a chance to get this one here tonight against the LA Dodgers. So let's see if we can cash a plus price winner here on the Diamond tonight. Colorado Rockies +1, as high as +150 for them here tonight against the LA Dodgers. That is going to be my best bet here for this edition of Bet with Bobano. Shout out to Neil in the chat. Yeah, Dallas full game because look, their season's on the line. Units up in the NHL this season, 0.4 right now. It's small profit, $400 if you equate it to the dollar amount. But keep in mind, I am one win away from cashing a Florida Panthers Stanley Cup futures ticket, and if that hits, that's going to significantly increase the profit count in the NHL. So I'm hoping that is indeed the case. And yes, Sports Memo was my very first career gig in this industry, selling picks on that site. 2000, the old days when sports betting was couldn't talk about it. They'd look at you like you're the scum of the earth if you bring up anything to do to sports betting and point spreads and all that. That's how long ago it was. But I decided, you know what, after 6 good years there, nothing but good things to say about how I was treated there. Everything was fine. It was time to go on my own, do my own thing. And I didn't like that they took so much of a cut from my sales, and they all do that. Every handicapping website, they take a cut of the sales that you make, and they keep it. So I said I was starting to get like, I don't want that, anymore. So I'm on my own now. Dub Club is where you can find the subscription now. 350 people. And like I said, very happy with where things are at. Love doing these shows. Love doing these videos for the people that tune in. And the Ice Guys show, my signature show, I'm so proud of where that has come and how big that has gotten over the last few years. So good stuff indeed. And appreciate all you guys tuning in. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Bet with Bobano. We'll be back on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern with the next edition of the show. Hope you all have a great Monday night. I'm Ian Cameron. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. And we'll see you again on Wednesday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.